Boom, 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 boom. How to be a patriotic hero. Spoken in a British accent. Just to be clear, this is totally about America and has nothing to do with Monty Python. The thing about how to be a patriotic hero is in there in the following thingy. But please start at the beginning simply because that is the actual order of the sequence of words. I wrote this to my associate Petros B. Yes, that's his name, Petros.
Here is a video on the diamond cartel De Beers and how it monopolized extraction of diamonds, restricted supply, used Hollywood starting in the 1930s to create a demand by associating diamonds with stardom, beauty, sex, marriage, and engagement rings, and even influence GE, that's right, General Electric, so that GE discontinued the production of synthetic diamonds that would have challenged the prices set by the De Beers diamond cartel on diamonds used for gemstones, as well as industrial diamonds used for cutting. There's the link to the video in blue. Now, I mention this not just because of similar comments by you, Petros, and I, JR, about oil, such as the PR campaigns of the American Petroleum Institute, but about gold. The monopolization of gold mines and use of that metal as a currency by government courts, requiring that people purchase gold coins from the government in order to pay taxes, is a historical dynamic that I have mentioned several times, by which I mean at least twice. Again, why not platinum or aluminum or cobalt or cheese? Why gold? Because kings and their armies could more easily monopolize access to gold. I did recently mention to Petros the Hunt brothers, what they did with silver in the late 1970s. That is the same issue, though in a small and brief instance. The issue was basically that they bought enough silver that they could influence supply of silver by simply not selling much of it, and that's basically it. That's the same thing that De Beers did with diamonds. Now, let's consider the use of the term parasites. Petros brought that up, or even patriotic hero, which I brought up, and my friend Will and my friend Carl and most all of my friends. Sean, are you there? Lowell. Patriotic heroes, everyone knows that what every American male should be, or any other person, like, if you're a Nazi in Germany in those days, you're patriotic hero of the fatherland or motherland or whatever it's called, I forget. You should be loyal to your country. You should be a proper nationalist. All hail the Queen and such Canadian BS. Well, anyway, let's consider the proper use of the term parasites or even patriotic hero. I have absolutely no moral objection to the existence of parasites, or the use of that term to describe certain biological organisms, or certain human institutions, or anything else. You, Petros, would be correct to conclude that I do not stop to think if parasites are right, or wrong, or left. All right. I have no such anxieties or mental illnesses. I do not even stop to think if patriotic heroes are patriotic or heroic. You, my dear Petros, may continue to refuse to live in the world as it is without condemning some aspect of it, some aspect of God's erroneous creation. However, consider that refusing to live in the world makes absolutely no difference, and that you will still live in the world, even if you say that you refuse to do so. So, try to change it. You are part of the world. Change yourself. Resist yourself. Fix yourself. Do it fast. Do it right. Stop being how you should not be, according to you, whatever ideological indoctrinations you have championed as defining for you how you should or should not be. There are many providers of such ideologies who will promote your compliance, Petros, with their standards of how you should or should not be, such as the Mormon Church, or the Democratic Party, or your mother. You remember her, that's right, your mother. She influenced you as to how you should or should not be. Tell me I lie. As for me, I command you not to be a parasite, and not to use that word furthermore. Also, be a parasite and use that word. That about covers how you should or should not focus on consciously avoiding or otherwise giving attention to the word parasite or not. You should either believe or not believe that the world is fundamentally flawed, and that you are also fundamentally flawed, my dear friend Petros. That is the ideology of a slave, by the way. Please continue to invest in shame and in correcting your past, or at least compensating for your original sinfulness, like any good Catholic adherent to the Holy Inquisition of Protestant counter-reformation, or counter-reformation, or counter-culture. I lose track. Anyway, you, Petros, are responsible personally for immediately or sooner making the world a better place, in accord with the ideologies that the 1% elites have implanted in you as to what would be better and what would be not better. If you fail, you will or will not be doomed to an eternity of hell, in which you will then come to define wherever you live as a hell that should not be how it is, and is fundamentally flawed and must be corrected and changed and reformed by you personally in order for you to avoid eternal damnation in a hell of shame and mental illness or disease and anxiety about how to change hell in order to have it be how it either should or should not be. It's all your fault. But if you can just fix everything real quick, then as a reward, you will get 77 virgins and go directly to heaven without passing go, but also without collecting $200, which is a little bit of a bummer, and thus I am very sad about all of this world being so much like God told me that it should be. Now, before it is too late, which could be absolutely any time, fix the system. Define the system as broken and flawed and screwed up, in contrast to screwed down, which is morally preferable. Also, keep in mind that the holiest color is 7, because that is what it says in the Holy Constitution of the State of Alaska, which is the best state in the entire history of the Holy Roman Empire. Also, remember that the color 7 cannot be in a speculative bubble, because the number red is inevitably hyperinflating, because the number red is in fact just a linguistic construction created out of thick air, such as fog. So, in conclusion, now that was actually a metaphor or parody of people who say gold cannot be in a speculative bubble because the US dollar is a fiat currency that must inevitably hyperinflate, so therefore gold cannot be in a bubble because the US dollar is a fiat currency that must inevitably hyperinflate. And according to our dear friend Stephen, we do not have to repeat this over and over and over again for it to be over and over again repeated, because it is inherently obvious that what we have to repeat over and over and over again is inherently obvious. Also, I am a very smart person, perhaps even a true American hero, a patriotic hero. Yes, a hero. Cheerio, chap. Hero. For having figured all of this out and knowing the secret that the Fed is actually the root of all evil, and if we could just remove the surface of the earth from the earth, then the earth would be a better place. Except that whenever we remove the surface of the onion from the earth, another layer of surface mysteriously does not appear out of thick air. That is really the only problem with the unpredictable and chaotic world, which does not make any sense. If we can just fix that one core problem, then all of the other symptoms will turn into pickles, which is the kind of world that I would want to live in. Or maybe not live in, but at least visit.